What's the good word, y'all? Welcome to New York Jets Syndicate channel. It's your boy DKB here. And Robert Saleh wants Dalvin Cook. Now, hear me out. The New York Jets just had their press conferences today with Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers. For Robert Saleh specifically, he was addressed Dalvin Cook's potential release, which we now know has officially occurred. And I believe he's able to sign with the team as of 4:01 Eastern Standard Time or something today. So what's the difference? Well, when he was asked about Dalvin Cook, he didn't give the same de facto line that he's given when we were asked about the running back position and wide receiver position previously, where he said he loves the players that we have. And in this case with Dalvin Cook, he mentioned that we would, it's more of a Joe Douglas question. He'll have to see what the numbers look like, how that, whole situation will pan out. And then, of course, he's still on the other team. So I think there's the tampering stuff that would be in effect. But why is there a difference in answers here? And I do find this interesting because we were also at one point thought to be interested in Ezekiel Elliott when he was released. And these are two guys, age 27 for both of them. Very different kind of paths in their career and kind of what's occurred most recently with them, right? You think about it, Ezekiel Elliott has kind of essentially had him beat by a year in the league, but still he's played a much higher amount of games, 103 versus Dalvin Cook's 73. We know about Dalvin Cook's injury history, the ACL tears, the shoulder labrum tear, then of course some shoulder dislocations and things. He hasn't been as available and as durable as a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, but he has been able to churn out more productive seasons in recent memory than we've seen with a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, but he still went out there and ultimately scored points for his team at a above average, borderline elite level, or elite, depending on how you want to consider it. So I'm curious what the thought process is here. Maybe it's a little bit more of a recency bias situation, seeing Dalvin Cook put up, the last 4 seasons, at least 1,100 rushing yards. Maybe you still consider him at this point in his career as a guy that has a lot more gas in the tank than Ezekiel Elliott. And as we mentioned, he's burned through a lot less games and had a lot less wear and tear on his body. You can also open up his role a lot more. He's essentially still a running back one in this league, whereas Ezekiel Elliott has deteriorated to the point where you're really looking to use him in specified roles, goal line yardage back, short, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1 situations. Ideally, you probably have him capped at like 120 touches on the season, which still may be pretty high. But with Dalvin Cook in the New York Jets running back situation, where you want to slow pace Breece Hall as much as you can until he tells you he's definitively feeling like himself and good to go, you have a guy that still steps in, and he's better, arguably, than any of the running backs that's on your roster, which isn't hard to argue. You have a rookie in Israel Abanikanda, hasn't done anything in the league yet. Michael Carter has had an above average year, at least in terms of what he's asked to do, his body type, all of those things, and then a very subpar year in his sophomore season. So some level of balance that you have to figure out with him this year, and he still may not even make the roster. And you're still excited about guys like Bam Knight. You have Travis Dye, who will probably be a practice squad running back you can call up as necessary. So Dalvin Cook, to be honest, makes a ton of sense for why Robert Saleh will be changing his tune here. Plus, for what it's worth, while we're comparing the two guys, if you would sample Dalvin Cook's production up to 103 games where Ezekiel Elliott is, he's probably on pace to beat him out, right? You see things like him being a more effective target in the receiving game. Even his rushing yards per carry is slightly better, 4.7 versus 4.4 for Ezekiel Elliott. But then he's also been able to do it, as mentioned, more efficiently. I think that's the pivotal piece here. Ezekiel Elliott has had to be his offense for quite a few times, and whether that's due to quarterback play, offensive philosophy, it hasn't really mattered. Ezekiel Elliott has definitely played a lot more snaps, of course, as a part of being healthy, but then also a part of the game plan that's been centered around him in that Dallas offense as well. So I'm excited if Dalvin Cook comes through. I'm not saying he's a requirement. I don't even think he's necessarily needed in this New York Jets team. We felt that way about a lot of people, though, as well. But if we're going to switch up and we want to change up or at least ensure a more consistent performance out of our running back room pending health, you're not going to find a lot of guys this late in the season that's going to be better than Dalvin Cook. So I'm all for it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Dalvin Cook officially released. Is he going to come to the New York Jets? And what do you expect for him to do for this New York Jets offense, assuming he takes the reins early on while Breece Hall recovers? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.